I want to talk to you in a series. I don't know how long it'll go, just till my heart feels full, and I've shared with you what I feel can help. A series called Humans, God Became One. It comes from a long time of being in ministry, over 30 years pastoring, and in those 30 years, I've had a lot of conversations with atheists who tell me there is no God, agnostics who say there's no way to prove it, skeptics who've been hurt and can't wrap their mind around God, religious people who are mad at God, some people who love God, and a lot of people who can't make sense out of God. And the further we go as humans, the more complicated it gets. The conversations I have in 2024 are distinctly different than the conversations I was having about God in 1984. In 1984, I was having no conversations about gender ideology, whether a man can be a woman or not. I never even considered those conversations. They weren't even part of the social construct of 1984. And yet in 2024, here's what I've learned by being a human, working with humans my whole life, pastoring humans. Here's one thing I know about us. Give us half a chance, we can mess anything up. And the question is, why would God make us? Why would He make us? It's a great argument, especially if you talk to the atheist who say, you want me to believe, Tony, in a loving God? You tell me God's a loving God? That was a conversation I had. You tell me God's a loving God? And I'm like, yeah, He's a loving God. God is love. And well, if God is love, then why does He let kids have cancer? Why would He do that? If He's so loving, why does He let non-Hodgkin lymphoma? Why does He let all of the diseases that hit children? Why does a loving God let this happen to these kids? And in my pastoral 30 years, I've had to answer that question to parents whose children have been diagnosed with diseases and cancers. And then, because I was going to be a missionary, why does God let starvation happen? Why would God create a world only to let kids starve to death? That sounds not, and I think it's a good argument, that doesn't sound like a God of love. It sounds like a God that's either there is no God. How could He let these kids, if he's alive right now, how can He let these kids with no food keep going? Why can't He just rain down bread? Why can't He just send them, you tell me in the Bible He sent quail. Why can't He send quail? Why do I have to have some missionary raise money for me to go take food to them if God is God? Why do I have to raise money? Why do I have to have a GoFundMe? If God cares about people like you tell me He cares about people, then God should be able to feed that kid without my help. And if God is so good, then why are homes ravaged with divorce and kids have to grow up in the hell? Why does a kid, nobody asked, they were just born, and nobody asked you to be here. A man and a woman hooked up, a sperm and an egg joined up, and you got here, and nobody asked your opinion. And you got shoved into a home, and maybe that home was a good home. Maybe it wasn't. According to statistics, 57% of all homes will end with some kind of argument that ends in divorce. And in that argument, we will tear and rip apart who gets the children. And if we're stupid, we'll think it'll never impact the child. It's a lie from the pit of hell. It impacts the children. We would love to say it doesn't. Why would a God do this? Why would a God create a man and a woman and tell the man and a woman, I put you together in a garden, you're a man and a woman, now go reproduce and multiply, if my reproduction and multiplying is going to crush a child? Why doesn't He just leave us out? Why does He pick humans? When He says, I've made you in my image, and I go, well, I don't feel like you're an image, so I have to medicate myself and drug myself, and then I have to have rehab centers, and then I have to go through all kind of addictions and torments of trying to get out of the addiction. trying to get off the Xanax, trying to get out of the heroin. Many of you may know Sam and even Tony's testimony that he has shared here as well of how God delivered them from an addiction. Well, why? Why would you put me on a planet with a bunch of humans that could create something that could cause such chaos? These are arguments that people tell me that I have to work and go, God, that's a good argument. Like, why would God use humans? Why does he keep picking us? Why does he pick and choose humans when we'll abuse each other? Surely he was smart enough to know that all the abuse would be a great Lifetime movie. We watch them all the time. Watch the Netflix series. Watch all the documentaries about the Menendez brothers who blew their parents' head off. Why? Because they were molested. Why? Because they were sex trafficked. Why would God put humans on planet Earth so we could have sex with children and make billions of dollars? And don't think you're holy and I'm holy. In Atlanta, we have one of the highest sex trafficking cities in the world. We are literally having sex with children for money. A guy just got arrested for having sex with a 2-year-old. So what the hell, God? A human being is better than that. Why would you make us? Why? That's the anger that comes out of people. And we stand up on a Sunday and go, he's so good. Praise him in the valley and praise him on the mountain. I'm like, what are you singing about? The world is going to hell and people are hurting and people are desperate. And then we all Christians on a Sunday, we give God a good hour, kind of help you out, Lord. You get an hour of my life, but all of us know we hit these doors and the hour's over. We're going right back to the hell of the marriages, the brokenness, the divorces, the addictions, the pains, the sufferings, and then you cut on TV and find that they raise kids to go blow things up. Strap a bomb to a child and send a child into a building just to blow things up. Just because they think you're infidels and you deserve to be annihilated. Why does God do this to us? Why doesn't he come down and just fix it? My better question is, why did you start it? Just leave us alone. Just don't even make us. Why would you make something that could cause such disasters? Why would you make something where more people serve, if you're a Christian, more people serve the devil than serve you? So why do you lost that battle? So let me get this right. You made a group of people to love you, but your plan was so awful. And you made you love your enemy more than they love you. And then we've got all the wars and humans that are supposed to love our neighbor, blowing up cities and towns and sending billions of dollars to bring nuclear war to a halt. At the same time, billions of dollars to blow up cities and towns in Ukraine and Israel and Iran and Iraq. And it's just a money-making machine in the name of humans in war. We don't mind blowing up kids because I'm going to get billions of dollars for it. We're going to fund it. That's how evil we are. We're going to fund it. Because why? Because that's what we're good at. We're good at terrorizing each other and then capitalizing off the hell. I'm good at capitalizing off children starving. I can make money off of that. I'm good at drug addictions. I can make money. Just go look at how much money Pfizer makes just off of medicine that they get us addicted to quote, help us to be better people. Why? Because humans, by their very nature, love to capitalize off the suffering so they themselves get gain. Who makes that kind of person? Who makes us that way? Who makes us to where a child grows up and has no clue where his food's coming from, where his parents are? Shoved out in the middle of a trash dump to try to find a scrap of food. Why? Because no mom wants him. Because his father died of AIDS. Because his mother got $50 if he would give him up. And that is a doggone good argument for where is God and why should I serve this God? While we Christians go, I'm I might go today to his house. Kind of tired of just stay up late watching football. I don't know. I mean, it is difficult in America to go to church because you have to go like nearly 2 miles. That's a long way. I don't have a car. I know it's tough in America. You have to call somebody called Uber to come take you to church. That's tough too. Like that's how spoiled we can become. Not only all of the terrible things out there, just look at how much greed just narcissistic, spoiled people can cause. Churches today on every corner. Why? Maybe not because God had another idea and was thinking, I got a good idea, let's start another church a half mile down the road. The reason it happens is because humans get ticked off at you. So I'm leaving you. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to start my own thing. And the reality is, enjoy it for about a week because more humans are going to come. And the moments humans come, it's going to be a mess because we mess everything up. There is no perfect church. There is no perfect scenario. At the base of who we are awful. And then we stand up and go, no, just God is love. Just love each other. Preach a message in here to make everybody feel good and then go home and go, God, I hope somebody tweeted what I said. That could probably change the world if they'd just share my tweet. Really? Or the likelihood that this sermon right here is going to change anything. That what I'm going to say in the next 30 minutes, is it really going to change the world? Probably not. Will it change you? I don't know. Will it change me? I sure do wrestle with it. I want it to change me. But the likelihood that we're going to go out the door and be any different, there's a high percentage that I'll just go out the door and go, that was good, and go eat, burp, and keep doing life. Stay in the game of life. So all of that has been 30 years of trying to answer those questions. Why did my kid die? Why is my husband an addict? Why did my dad leave? Why did I have to bury my mom? Why is sex trafficking such a thing? All 30 years of my questions, and this is going to sound really awful. Sometimes myself just mad at God, like, what are you doing? Why don't you do something? Like, why have you put it all on us, humans? So the book of Genesis is where we're going to start. This is what it says, and it just hurts my head to even read it. So God created human beings in his own image. Really? You created us in your own image and your likeness, male and female, and you knew this would happen? Now, this is where it gets sticky. If God is not all-knowing, I'm good with this verse. Because he had no clue. He had a good idea on a Monday. There wasn't days yet. He's going to create Monday. He had a good idea. I'm going to make humans. Now, if you're not all-knowing, I give him a good shot. You made humans. We messed it up, but it was a good try, God. But if you tell me God is all-knowing, then I think I have an argument. If you already know we're going to rape babies, why are you making us? If you already know my dad is going to have an affair on my mother and crush her, which causes her to commit suicide, which leaves me without a mother, why, if you know all things, are you creating us? And if you're a God that knows all things, why did you allow me to become pregnant only to lose my baby? Help a sister. So as long as I can say God didn't know stuff, it's easier to read this verse. But if I tell you he's eternal and all-knowing, then my brain just goes, if you know this stuff, then why do you let us go through the hell? If you knew I was going to lose my baby, why did you let me get pregnant? Come on. If you knew I was going to be born into a home where my father would molest me, why did you let me come to this God-forsaken planet? You see how, I hope I'm not losing you. It's just like I've got 30 years of these conversations. And then I have to stand up on a Sunday and go, He's a good God. And then I have to go sit at a hospital and cry with people who lost a kid. So God created us in His own image, and I think the question it becomes, well then why? Why would He do this to us? Why would He do this to us? And here's the hard thing. The hard thing is He becomes one of us. And I just don't get that. If you know we're going to beat the stew out of your kid, why would you send your own kid? So then that really messes it up, because now it's like, wait a minute, you knew all this and you did it anyway, and all this hell you knew, and you were going to send your own kid to become a human, and you know how awful we are. And God goes, yeah, y'all are so awful that you're going to beat my child so badly we won't even recognize him. And I'm like, yeah, good, come on, God. Oh, by the way, He's such a good God that He's going to ask this little 15-year-old to have his child. And oh, by the way, after I borrow your womb and you have my kid and you get to raise that kid, guess what? You're going to watch your kid die. Instead of them bury you, you're going to bury them. You ready, Mary? You're such a good God. So it becomes a mess. Humans are a mess. Why would He want us? Why would He make us? Why? Gosh, my dad says if you really want to know people, just work with them or marry them. Why? Because you'll realize how messy we are. He goes on to say this, though. God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth, govern it, reign over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground. And God looked over all He made, and He saw that it was good. Now, this is where it gets challenging. Because if I go back to, and we're going to talk about this in depth next week, but if I go back to the original thinking, God didn't start off with a bunch of hellacious, sorry people. He started off going, now what I just did, that's good. So that makes me have to rethink some things. That makes me think that God knows all the hell that's coming, but He starts out with, well, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to start out with pedophiles and drug addicts and hellions. We're going to start out with perfection. Matter of fact, we're going to start out perfect. I'm going to do a doggone good job. Now, here's where it gets sticky. If you're a Christian, you probably have been raised that Adam and Eve are these gorgeous, hot-bodied, gold and tan skin with no pimples. Breasts are high and lifted. Bellies are trim. Shoulders on the man are just bulging as they sit in a garden naked, clothed with a leaf, holding a piece of fruit, not bacon fruit. And so the images really mess up the first human. Because the first human image is some Neanderthal that doesn't know how to make fire. So God says, I'm going to make a man in my own image. Wow, there he is. You go, fire. Like God started out with the dumbest of the dumb. Can't even do 1 + 1. Just stupid. Started out with a stupid naked man. And then the man was so dumb, because God created him so dumb, He had to give him a woman. It was a hot one. Everybody always asks, did Adam have a belly button? Dumb. People always ask, was it the chicken first or the egg? Stupid question. the best question you can ever ask that will eternally be unknown: did a woman have straight hair or curly hair? I live with all women. This is a tragic thing to ask, because all the women who have curly hair hate it. I just wish my hair was straight. And all the women with straight hair, I just wish my hair was curly. That's why we make curling irons and curlers. So the real question is, did Eve have curly hair or straight hair? Who knows? We may never know, but that's going to be my first question, because I live with all women. What are you going to ask God first? I want to see Eve's hair. I want to settle it once and for all in my home. Well, you're thinking wrong. Because the way we typically think, and we're taught and we believe in what evolution, that's a whole other comment we'll talk about, is that we came from monkeys. We were stupid monkeys trying to walk around and figure out fire and chasing water buffalo and making rocks with spears. And then we got so smart, we started wearing tuxedos. And then we got so smart, we realized there are aliens out there, and now we can make rocket ships now and try to go find those other beings. But that's pretty much humanity. That's what we believe. That's what most think, unless you're a Christian. If you're a Christian, bless y'all's hearts, and we're going to talk about this next week, we don't believe that. We don't believe we started out a Neanderthal. We believe if you're white, you started out white. And Adam and Eve is white. Typically, if you're black or African American, you see Adam and Eve as a black African American. Like whatever I was raised and whatever skin color I am, that's probably what mom and dad were like. And then religion tells us that. Well, God started with white people, which is strange. And then when Cain killed Abel, God put a mark on Cain, and that's where black people turned into black people. And then because they killed somebody, and God said, you're going to forever be black. And he slapped them with black, and now they become black, so that black people come out of this murdering group of people, and then racism comes along, and we're like, what are we talking about? Well, that doesn't go over too well. So then we think, well, here it is. God just meant black people and white people and all different people. Just stay in your little tribes. Don't intermarry with each other. Just you go do you. And as a matter of fact, here's where we all came from. We were all in a city, and then God went boo, and then everybody left the city, and we were scattered all over, and all the people that went to the north turned into white people, because there's no heat up there. And so we turned white. And then all the people that went south, where it's really hot, turned into black people. And that's how we got white and black people. That's how we got Europeans and Africans, because all the people that went south, it was really hot, and they had no sunscreen back then, so they turned into really dark people. And everybody that went up north, it was cold, so they wore coats, and they never got a suntan, so they turned into... There are people that believe this stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's stupid, but I get the argument. But I will say, I've lived in the South a long time. It's hot down here. I go out in the sun all the time, and I haven't turned into a black brother yet. Right? So the thinking is, you're thinking shallow. You're thinking in your own cultural mindset, and your brain has to be expanded to understand the origin of humans. And I'll tell you why. Because if we were Neanderthals, no serpent in a tree would have cared less about us. Why would a serpent in a tree care about a guy that can't even make fire? I'd be like, God thinks that's going to take... He can't even make fire. He doesn't even know how to use a spear. Oh my God. Because Lucifer was the greatest being that God ever made. I don't have time to study Lucifer today. We'll probably pick him up soon, because he does play into humanity. But ask yourself this: why would the greatest angelic cherubim that God ever created, that was the pinnacle of his creation, that was the supreme of his wisdom and glory, why would that being be attracted to a Neanderthal that can't make a spear? It's because we're thinking wrong. Why would this serpent want a human on his team? This is what I believe. When God made Adam and Eve, he did not make us a Neanderthal. We're going to dig this out next week deep. This is the thought to make you think at lunch today. He did not make some naked Neanderthal. The first human being was his perfected image. And I believe that God downloaded all of his glory, all of his wisdom, all of his authority into one human being. So that that human being didn't start out sitting by a fire going, that human being started out with the full knowledge of the glory of God. He didn't have to learn how to make a spear. It was all downloaded into him. Come on now, don't act like that's blowing your mind. You probably watched The Matrix. And she's freaking out. I got to get off this rooftop. And there's a helicopter. And she says, I don't know how to fly a helicopter. She sits in the seat and says, download it to me now. And she calls out the helicopter, and they're sitting there, and they start doing all their computer work. And all of a sudden, they download into Trinity how to fly a helicopter. And she just goes, well, if the Matrix in Hollywood could download stuff, could not God? Now, so you don't think I'm really crazy and I'm out here doing drugs myself. Do you not know that today humans have become so smart that anything I want to know can be downloaded instantly with the push of return? And at my fingertips, I can have anything I desire. That information downloaded to you this fast. So that I said, hey, I need an ape in a tuxedo holding an alien picture, staring at a wall, and boom, boom, there you go. I didn't create that. It took AI about 6 seconds to do that for me. I don't need Photoshop. All I have now is knowledge. Now, if Google can download knowledge to you, if knowledge is so powerful that Elon Musk is a little scared of it, why do you think humans have more potential than God? If a human can download this kind of knowledge, could God not have started that way? I'm going to teach you this next week and the 2 weeks ahead. I don't think we started dumb and got smarter. I think we started at the brilliant pinnacle of God's best, went down to ground zero in our stupidity, and then we had to start building our way back up thinking we're brilliant, now we can go to Mars. But I think we started off, I'll go into depths with this, I think we started off in God's image with all of his knowledge and DNA downloaded into us. So that if you ask me, did God create the first human? Was he black? Was he white? Was he red hair, curly hair? This is what I believe. I genuinely believe this. I've tried to work this out for years so I can throw it to you. I think in the very first humans, every piece of DNA was put in the first couple. And it wasn't skewed DNA. It was the perfected DNA of all humans. So that in one man and one woman is the genetic code of freckles, red hair, white skin, yellow skin, red skin, black skin, brown skin, blue eyes, green eyes, hazel eyes, big ears, big nose, little nose, square head, round head, kind of balding, blonde hair, brunette, black. In one human, God just downloaded every possible genetic code into this first couple. So I don't think they looked at each other and went, oh man, you're white, I'm black. I think they looked at each other and said, we're in the image of God. What color are we? God. What kind of hair do I have? I don't know, but all of it. I have all of it. So that, just follow me here. That means if, let's say the first couple was black and a white together. And then they get together, and when they get together, they make this glorious yellowish color. They both have black hair, but they birth a red hair. And he can't say, have you been slipping with the milkman? Where did the red hair come from? Because if I'm too black-haired, we have a red hair, somebody's cheating. Or we better show a picture of our grandparents. See? No. First couple could reproduce a combination of anything because all things God were in them. They could produce a 6'5" guy and a 6'1" girl along with a 3'2" guy. They have every combination of what could be possible within the perfected genetic code called God's image. And that is what ticked Lucifer off. They are a perfected being with full knowledge and power and authority. And I want it. And so from the Garden of Eden on, we've been fighting over the souls of humans. God is fighting for your soul as well as Lucifer. Many Hollywood movies are about the fight. We even read it all through the Bible. We read where demonic powers have wanted humans. Don't ever think you're not valuable. You're so valuable that the unseen world is having a war for you. Your marriage is so valuable that the unseen world is fighting to destroy it. Your genetic makeup of male and female is such the design of God that the world out there we cannot see is fighting over whether you can be male or female. Why? This is not some social perversion. This is a demonic war that has been going on for the souls of humans from day one. Because that's how powerful you were made. You were made in the glory of God. You were made in the image of God. You were made with His full authority at your very fingertips. And the enemy steps in and says, no, I will take that from them. I will destroy the image of God. And we'll look at this next week. Why would any human trade that? Why could you have everything but one thing? Everything but one thing. And you look at that and go, gosh, that one thing, just leave it alone and we wouldn't be here today. I would have had no pictures to show you. But no, we humans, bless our heart, we'll talk about it. But I will leave you with this thought. I will tell you for 100% certain there's a war for human beings. It's trying to destroy your soul. It's trying to destroy your children. It's trying to destroy your marriage. It's causing you to lose hope in God. It wants you to hate other humans. It wants you to despise God. It wants you to question, why could a good God do this to you? It wants you to think everything you can think to despise the very Creator that's out there. And why? Because it wants you. Come to the New Testament and watch Jesus. Jesus Himself will bump into demons, and the demons so want a human that they literally have to beg, please don't cast it out of this. And if you do, could we just go in the pigs? We'll talk about that too. But for the sake of today, we lost the first war. And 1,600 years later, God observes the extent of human wickedness on the earth and saw that all the thoughts and everything they thought was totally evil. And this is so pitiful. No, I don't ever hear any of the atheists ever bring this up. God is literally sorry He made us and it broke His heart. I rarely hear agnostics quote this verse. They quote, if He's so loving, why did He make us? I say, bro, just keep reading the story. Read the story so much that He actually says, I wish I wouldn't have made them because they broke my heart. I didn't break their heart. They broke my heart. You humans thought I broke your heart by letting you be born to this hellacious planet. You thought I broke your heart because there's diseases. You thought I broke your heart because your mother left you. You thought I broke your heart because your husband got addicted and beat you. You thought I broke y'all's heart. No, honey. I did not break y'all's heart. You broke my heart. And because you broke my heart, you will pay the price. Because you turned away from my heart, I will turn you over to your own heart. And I will show you that out of every human, you have evil hearts that are bent to evil all the time. Without me, you all will accomplish the very art of evil. And the funny thing about it, we'll look at this next week, funny thing about it is, all the evil you do, you will turn it into good. You will justify your evil. So what does God do? What does God do to this glorious human that is now turned into a being of death? This glorious being of DNA that has the full knowledge of God downloaded into him. God comes along and says, you all broke my heart, so therefore I'm just going to destroy you. Now, this is my thinking. Why doesn't God just get rid of all of us and start over with Adam 2.0? Your iPhone does that. Your iPhone, by next year, you're going to need an iPhone 19. Everybody knows computers need updating. Why doesn't God just go, these sorry little people broke my heart. So what I think I'm going to do is kill them and start over. And instead of Adam and Eve, I'm going to have Steve and Becky. We're going to start all over. Like, that's what you should do. But no. Because humans are so incredible that God is going to become one. He's going to keep a few of you around because that's how incredible you are. Even on your worst day, he won't annihilate all of you. Because he knows who he is, not who you are. So because he knows his own plan, he keeps 8 people around. You would think after annihilating everybody but 8 people, if everybody in this room today just left planet Earth and only 8 people were left, I guarantee you, you wouldn't think, let's go back to believers. You would think, last time we went there, everybody died but us. I'm not going back. You would be smart enough, hopefully. Not these people, not humans. God shows up after the flood. And it said the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice, but he said to himself, I'm never again going to curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent toward evil from childhood. What? God himself said, I just annihilated the whole human race but 8, but I still have a comment, y'all are all bent to evil. Since childhood. For those of you that have never had children, you don't understand the power of this prophetic word. Anybody ever raised one of these? You literally have to teach them how to obey. They are born knowing how to disobey. What? You would think somewhere in humanity, somewhere, somebody would come on YouTube and go, we just had a baby. He's 5 years old. He's so precious. We've had to teach him how to be mean. We've had to teach him how to disobey. We even say, now here's how you disobey, honey. He just won't. He refuses to disobey. We'll even say, put that bean up your nose. He won't do it. He will never do it. There's not a human alive. Every parent in the room is literally having to beg their kid to obey. If you'll just shut up while we're in Target, I'll get you the toy. Shut up, quit crying. We're in a generation that if I spank you, I go to prison. You better be glad you weren't raised in the 70s because my parents beat me. Here, just take a second. Like we have to convince them to obey. So if God says that the thing that even from childhood you'll still be bent to evil, why does he keep us around? Because he's going to become a child. And an angel shows up to a mother and says, don't be afraid, Mary. You found favor with God and you're going to give birth to a child. You're going to name him Jesus and he'll be great, the Son of the Most High. She has a little baby. We're going to celebrate him in a few weeks. But this little baby is going to show up. Why? Why doesn't God just start over? Why does he become one? The one who's the true light, John will say, He gives light to everybody. He's coming into the world, but the world won't recognize him. As a matter of fact, he'll come to his own people and they will reject him. As a matter of fact, not only will they reject him, they will reject him, verse 19 of John 3, because they love darkness more than they love him. You mean to tell me even after Jesus comes, even after God becomes a human, we still like evil more than God? We still like darkness more than light? We still, with God right in front of me going, yo, it's me, man. Here I am. I've come to love you, Mark. I've come to die for you little sorry humans. And I look at him and I go, you're nothing but the son of the devil himself. You're Beelzebub. Who do you think you are coming down here telling us you're God? You're just some stupid prophet. And maybe he says, why did I come? Yes, he says that because he's in the garden and he says back to his father, I do not want to die for these humans. What? So all of this that Jesus loved you and wanted to die for you, the reason Jesus died for you is because God loved you and sent his own son to become a human so that he could pay the ultimate human price of your evil and suffering. And that kid says back to dad, if there's any other way than to be this human that dies for other humans, please get me out of this plan. And you think Jesus died because he loved you? He died because he was obedient. Not because he felt giddy for you. You spit in his face. You beat the stew out of him. You rejected him. But he became obedient and said, it's not about what I want. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me there was a human that was alive that said, it's not about me, but you? Yes, that's what Adam should have done. But Adam didn't, so God had to send another Adam that said, it's not about what I feel. It's about you and your wisdom and your authority, and I shall obey that. And he becomes the hope of all humans. And then people get mad when you go, this is the way to life. Now, that's just being the... But you literally tell people, God died for you rotten humans. We don't care. We'd rather dance with the devil. I'd rather throw back an IPA with the devil. I'd rather sit in a bar and toke one back. I'd rather get a chick on my shoulders at a party half naked and throw her over my back. I love evil more than I love God. I love war more than I love God. I love protesting more than I love God. And we preachers sit around and go, well, God loves you. I'd rather kill my baby than love God. I would rather talk about my gender and being free than love God. Well, as a matter of fact, evil, pride, lust, hate, greed, anger, and sloth, you would think he'd go, Dad, blame humans, y'all suck. You know what he does? Oh, God Almighty. Jesus. He holds his hand out to you. And he says, come to me. And I'm like, what? Me? Me come to you? The world come to you? What are you talking about? Why would I want to come to you? Because God loved the world so much that he gave me to you so that I could save you, so that you could have life. And Delmar says, come on in, boys. The water's good. I've been absolved from robbing the Piggly Wiggly. If God can save Delmar from robbing the Piggly Wiggly, I bet he can save me. So we preach it and we tell people that, but why would God save Delmar? Why would God save you? Why would God save me? You want me to tell you what we're going to ultimately look at is even after he saves us, Paul says, you still keep biting and devouring and destroying each other. What? You mean after I meet him, after I say yes to him, after he gives me new life, I'm still bent to kill each other? Churches are filled today with people that know Him, but they're still evil. They'll still hurt you and gossip about you. Jesus Himself, after He dies, after He creates, after He goes to heaven, after He sends the Holy Spirit, He still shows back up to a bunch of humans and says, y'all just don't love me like you did before. That's how powerful our humanity is. Our humanity is so powerful that God saves us, and then we'll still snub our nose and become lackluster people. We still lose our love for Him. Why would He do such? Why would He pick me? I told my sweet bride, when you bury me, all I want on the tombstone is my name, and he was a good man. That's all I want you to put. He was a good man. I never thought that I could have done what I did in 2010. I loved God too much to be that kind of man. And I made a choice that destroyed my family, destroyed my life, destroyed my integrity, destroyed my character. And I was like, how could God love me? Like, I understand He loved me before because I read my Bible, I prayed, I was a preacher, but surely you can't love me now. Why would you love me? Why would you pick me to preach? Why would you want me to stand up and talk about you? You know my worst. You know my darkest thoughts. You know the secrets of my life. You know my heart more than anybody, and you will let me stand here and talk about you, not because I'm perfect. Surely you know I'm not perfect, God. So why? Why would you let Mark stand up here in my brokenness every week and not kill me and not do? Why would you let me be up here, God? And this is why. Even before I made the world, son, I loved you and chose you. Can you get that? Do you understand this kind of God? Even before I made the world, I already decided to love you. I already decided to choose you. Wait a minute, you knew we were going to screw up and made us anyway. Yeah, because you're thinking shallow. You're thinking that the reason I shouldn't have made you is you would screw up. No, the reason I made you is I love you. I chose you. No, you can't choose me. You can't choose a pedophile. You can't choose a drug addict. You can't choose all the crap we cause. No, I can. And I chose you in myself. Not only that, oh God, I decided to adopt you because that's what I wanted to do. And not only do I want to adopt you and choose you, I want to take you back to being the masterpiece. I want to take you back to my original design where I bring you from death into life. Where I bring you from hell into hope. Where I bring you from sorrow into joy. Oh, come on somebody. He's a good God. Stand up with me and give Him praise. Stand up with me, give Him praise. He's worthy to be praised. 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 He loves you. Bow your heads. He chose you, even with all your mess. He loves you, even with all your hell. He adopted you when nobody else wanted you. And you say, why did He let me be born into this hellacious moment? Because He wants you to know how much He loves you. And the only way you could know how much He loves you was to get you here. And the only way to get you here is to stick with, we're going to talk about this next week, is to stick with His original plan. The way He gets humans on the planet is from a woman and a man hooking up. That was His original plan. And when we screwed up, He didn't change the plan. Because when we screwed up, He said the plan is still the same. Men and women are going to hook up. Well, that's going to cause a lot of problems. Kids are going to get molested, left, adopted, fostered out. He goes, it's okay. Yeah, they're going to come into an awful world, but they need to know how much I love them because I'm not changing my plan. I don't know how you grew up. I don't know the hell you've gone through, the addictions you've suffered, the questions you've had, but your Creator stands in front of you today, and He says, I'm choosing you. I've adopted you. I let a man and a woman hook up to get you here so you could know how much I love you. I chose you when nobody else would, and I know all your junk. I know that you'll reject me, but I pick you anyway. I know that you'll snub your nose. I know that your love for me will grow weak, but you're my masterpiece. I'm not giving up on you, humans. Oh, I know right now it looks really bad in our world. And it's easy to give up on humans, but God will never give up on us. He's fighting for us to the end. And we're called to fight with Him. We're called to take the hope of His glory to other people. We're called to say, He brought me out of darkness and into His light. We're called to say, let me tell you how you gave me hope. I came from a very broken, hellacious place, but He gave me hope. He loved me when nobody else would love me. He picked me knowing I was a jerk. I've lied to Him over and over and over, and He keeps His hands out to me. He says, come on, son. I've broke His heart. Oh, I know I have too. I bet everybody in the room's broke his heart at one time or another. And He holds His hands out and says, come on. Just come on. Don't believe the lie of the devil. The devil will lie to you that you're too broken, you're too sick, you're too mad, you're too angry, you're too hurt, you've been abused. You're trying to blame God for all of it. You're trying to say it's His fault. No. That's the lie of the enemy. Your Heavenly Father saying, come. Come, I love you. I'll redeem you. I'll heal you. He's never going to give up on us humans. So don't give up on yourself. Don't throw in the towel. Don't deconstruct. God will take you from the mess to a masterpiece. Yes, it's a process. Yes, it's a process to come out of the mud and the mire and the muck and become what He wants you to be. That's why it's called discipleship. He's trying to make us into something. He's trying to bring us back to His image. He's trying to get the image of Christ in us and out of us. We're to be the light of the world, the salt of the earth. So, Father God, today, oh, Jesus, may we appreciate You more than we've ever appreciated You before. And may we realize if He can choose you, He can choose anybody. And He's not gonna, I know you'll try to run from Him. He even says, I love you so much, you make your bed in hell, I'll find you there. You might think you're getting away from Him, but He loves you so much, He'll be waiting on you in aisle 4 in Target. That's how much He loves you. He's never going to let His kid go. So, Father, today, may this word sink down into our heart.